Channel Stoic Enlightenment Era. Dear sirs and madams, if you happen to see this video today, it is not just a coincidence. It could be a sign, a message from the universe that you are ready to receive messages that only the destined ones can hear. Of the thousands of videos that are going by every day, not everyone stops here, but if you are watching these lines, I believe that your energy has hit the right frequency. And that is why you are here, right now. Today's video is not just a simple sharing. It is part of a journey that I have been through decades of personal experience, reflection and conclusion. What you are about to hear is not theory in books, nor empty words on social media. Instead, it is profound mystical truths, lessons that I believe, if you listen with all your heart, can change the way you see yourself and the world. I know, what I am about to share is not easy to hear anywhere else. Because it is not popular. It is deep, and only those who are quiet enough, patient enough, and open enough can receive it fully. So I urge you to watch until the end of the video. Don't miss a second, because just one little idea in here might open up a new direction for you. A step forward that you have been looking for all this time. I can't promise that your life will change overnight, but I can guarantee one thing: if you really listen and practice. In the next few months, your mindset, awareness, and energy will grow far beyond those around you, and you will no longer be the same version of yourself. If you feel connected to this video, if your heart is moved or your mind is open, please like to let me know you are along. And subscribe to the channel to continue receiving profound values in the journey of inner growth and spiritual awakening. Welcome to a space of understanding, enlightenment and transformation. Take a deep breath, relax your mind, and let the journey begin. Have you ever wondered why some people never seem to fall? No matter how hard life throws at them. They are not stubborn, nor are they emotionless, but there is something about them, a quiet inner strength, that keeps them calm, composed and steady, even in the midst of storms. And today, we're going to explore that. How to be tough, the Stoic way. Not tough in the physical sense, not steeled into steel, but a quiet inner strength, forged through every choice, every reaction, every day. In today's world, being tough is often misunderstood. Many people think that being tough means not crying, not being weak, always being in control, always being strong. But in reality, it is the pressure to be strong that makes us most vulnerable to collapse. When you hold yourself back for too long to appear okay, you may look okay on the outside, but inside there is a storm that no one knows about. And when it breaks out, the consequences are much more serious. In Stoic philosophy, being tough doesn't mean being cold or emotionless. It's not a mask you wear to appear okay. It's being truly okay from within, even when no one sees it. No one praises you. Being tough is when you don't need to show it on the outside, but you're still strong on the inside. It's when you don't need anyone's approval, but you still hold on to your principles and values. Inner strength doesn't come from things you can control on the outside, like money, status, or the praise of others. Inner strength is the ability to control yourself before you control the world. It's the ability to choose how you respond, rather than reacting on instinct. When everyone else screams, you stay quiet. When everything falls apart, you don't panic, but instead start rebuilding from within. That choice is the ultimate expression of inner strength, and it's what Stoics practice every day. I used to think I was strong, until the world gave me some real shocks. That's when I realized, all my supposed strength was just a facade. And real strength is when I learn to control my emotions, accept the things I can't change, and focus on what I can control, myself. We are not born tough, but we can absolutely build our inner strength, day by day, moment by moment, by applying the simple yet profound principles of Stoicism. Because if you are looking for strength sustainability, not from the world, but from within you, then this is the place to start. We are often taught that to be strong, we must act unyielding, we must stand tall, we must not whine, we must not show pain. Many people grow up believing that being strong means not allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And so they create a shell, a mask of, I'm fine, even when inside they are falling apart. But you know what? That so-called strength, if it's just a disguise, will eventually collapse. It's like a building that looks beautiful on the outside, but has rotten foundations. One day, it will collapse, no matter how flashy it looks on the outside. Strength, according to Stoic philosophy, is not about hiding your emotions or suppressing your pain. It is about acceptance and mastery. It is when you dare to look at your weakness, but do not let it define you. It is when you are sad, you allow yourself to be sad, but still keep your cool. When you are angry, you acknowledge your anger, but do not let it control your actions. That's very different from suppressing it, pretending it's not happening. A Stoic is not emotionless. They feel the waves of emotion, but instead of being swept away by them, they stand firm and observe. They ask themselves, is this within my control? And if it's not, they let it go. If it is, they act calmly. True inner strength is when you can stand in the midst of adversity without losing yourself. It doesn't need to be shown off. It doesn't need anyone to acknowledge it. And it doesn't need you to appear strong. Because it's not about the outside. It's about how you face the world inside you. I used to be the one who lived with the shell of stable. Always smiling. Always saying, I'm fine. Even when my mind was a mess. But you know what? That shell was draining me. Because I wasn't allowed to be vulnerable. Didn't dare to speak up. And never learned how to truly deal with my emotions. It wasn't until I began studying Stoicism that I understood. Strength isn't about holding on. It's about letting go. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about recognizing what you're feeling, and not letting it control your life. So if you're tired of having to be strong in front of others, remember, true strength lies not in how strong you appear, but in how you sober enough not to have to pretend. Most of us want a smooth life, without stumbles or pain. But have you ever realized that it is the most difficult times that you grow the most? The scratches, the betrayals, the failures, the losses, if you look at it the right way, are tests of your will. They are physical exercises for your spirit. Stoicism does not teach us to avoid adversity. On the contrary, it teaches us to face difficulties proactively. Not to become victims, but to become warriors. Not to endure, but to train ourselves consciously. The Stoics saw challenges as a natural part of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle in the way is not the obstacle, it is the way." That means everything that makes you uncomfortable, tired, or want to give up is an opportunity for you to take your inner strength to the next level. You can exercise every day to have a healthy body, but to have a healthy mind, you also need to exercise by getting into uncomfortable situations. Fear of rejection? Start conversations you normally avoid. Are you afraid of change? Try something you thought you couldn't do. Do you lose patience when things don't go your way? Practice waiting, and see waiting as a spiritual victory. I used to be afraid of failure. I did everything I could to avoid risk, but that kept me stuck. It wasn't until I began to accept that failure was part of the journey that I finally dared to take action. Dare to speak, dare to do, dare to start again, and dare to face the consequences without blaming anyone. Willpower is not born from a comfort zone. It is only formed when you continuously push your limits a little bit more every day. And if you really want to be stronger, you have to be willing to go through the uncomfortable. Because it's when you think you can't go on anymore, and you persist, that's when your inner strength grows. Don't be afraid of challenges. Think of them as weightlifting exercises for the soul. Each time you overcome them, you not only become stronger, you also understand yourself better and more deeply. And that is the foundation for true strength. We live in an age where everyone is encouraged to speak up, to respond, to express their opinions as quickly as possible. But here's a truth that few people talk about. It's not always wise to react. Sometimes, silence is the greatest expression of inner strength. Have you ever been insulted, attacked, or provoked by someone to the point where you just wanted to strike back immediately? Have you ever gotten into an exhausting argument only to realize you're caught in a game where someone else sets the rules? In Stoic philosophy, silence is not avoidance. It is an active choice, a form of emotional mastery. When you don't react to things that make you angry, that's not weakness. It's the ability to control yourself before you control the situation. The Stoics understood that you don't always need to speak. Not every word deserves a reply. And not every battle is worth fighting. Silence gives you time to observe, to reassess what's really important, and to act, if necessary, more wisely. I used to waste a lot of energy feeling like I had to say something, had to respond immediately when someone misunderstood me, attacked me, or just treated me badly. But the more I learned, the more I realized, when you react too quickly, you're often reacting from your emotions, not your intellect. And most of the things you say in anger, you'll later wish you hadn't. Silence has a special power. It forces people to confront their own behavior. When you don't respond, you don't give them the fuel to continue. You take yourself out of the game. And then they're left with themselves and emptiness. Don't confuse silence with indifference. A person who chooses stoic silence is someone who has thought carefully, controlled himself well, and understood what is worth investing his energy in. Silence is not allowing others to control your mood. It is keeping the power, instead of giving it to anger. So the next time you find yourself about to blow up, about to argue, about to respond, try stopping, just for a second, and ask yourself, is this really worth my peace? If the answer is yes, the answer is no, be silent. And walk away with the composure of one who knows the value of self-mastery. There is a strange paradox in life. The things that cause us the most suffering often come from the emotions we harbor every day. Anger, jealousy, regret, insecurity. These are not external enemies. They are invisible chains that we put on ourselves. We get angry at others for not being what we expected. We get jealous when we see others achieving what we haven't achieved. We dwell on past mistakes and torment ourselves over things we can't change. But have you ever asked yourself, why do I hold on to these feelings? Are they helping me live a better life? Or are they just draining me? According to Stoic philosophy, emotions are not your enemy. But if you let them control you, you are handing over the keys to your life to something you cannot control. Stoics learn to let go not because they are emotionless, but because they understand. Peace does not come from avoidance, but from release. When you let go of toxic emotions, you're not forgiving the person who hurt you. You're freeing yourself from the pain. When you refuse to be jealous, you're not diminishing the other person's worth. You're strengthening your own worth. And when you stop blaming the past, you're not denying it. You're choosing to live fully in the present. I used to carry a lot of emotional baggage. There were people I couldn't forgive, things I couldn't forget, but the more I held on, the more lost I felt. Every day I woke up, my mind was pulled back to an unchangeable past. Until one day, I realized I didn't have to hold myself back anymore. I could choose to let go. Letting go is not weakness. On the contrary, it requires a lot of strength, the strength to accept reality, to let go, to move on freely. And that is what the Stoics are aiming for, not to avoid emotions, but to understand them, and to retain the right to choose how to live. If you are carrying anger, jealousy, or a grudge, ask yourself, will holding on to it for one more day help me live better? If not, let it go, not for anyone else, but for yourself, so that you can live with a lighter, clearer, and more stable soul every day. There's a truth that no one wants to hear, but everyone needs to know. You can't be strong without discipline. No matter how talented you are, no matter how passionate you are, it will all fade away if you don't have the ability to control yourself. And that's why, in the Stoic philosophy, self-discipline is not an option, it's the foundation of toughness. We often think of discipline as something dry, rigid, even oppressive, but in reality, discipline is not punishment, it is care. You discipline yourself not because you hate yourself, but because you value your future. You don't wake up early every morning because you like feeling sleepy, but because you know you need to make time for focus. You don't eat healthy because you're afraid of getting fat. You eat because you want to maintain the energy to do what you love. You don't limit social media because you want to be weird, but because you understand that focus is the most valuable asset in this day and age. In Stoic philosophy, self-discipline is a higher form of freedom. Because when you set boundaries for yourself, you are no longer a slave to your emotions, your desires, or your laziness. You are your own master, and therefore, you are strong enough to face any challenge outside. I used to live a very haphazard life. I followed my feelings, followed my interests. But you know what? Feelings change every day. Discipline, if maintained, becomes a stable launching pad that takes you far. Even if you are not the best. It is that consistency, that unseen commitment, that creates the most lasting and sustainable results. A strong person is not someone who never gets tired or makes mistakes. They are simply someone who stays committed to themselves. Even when no one is reminding them, no one is praising them, and no one is watching. They practice discipline in the smallest things, and from there, they build their greatest strength. So if you want to become truly tough, don't start by waiting for an event to wake you up. Start by waking up on time, reading a few pages a day, controlling your speech when you're angry, and fulfilling the promises you make to yourself. The more disciplined you are, the less you have to rely on motivation. And when you stop relying on your emotions to drive your actions, you'll notice something. Inner strength is no longer a distant concept, it is a real result. Coming from every action you repeat every day. When we think of resilience, we often picture someone who never gives up, never changes his or her mind, and keeps moving forward despite challenges. But if we're not careful, that image can easily morph into something else, rigid, conservative, and inflexible. So how can we be resilient without being rigid? That's one of the most subtle lessons Stoic philosophy leaves us. True strength lies not in never breaking, but in being flexible without losing your core. Imagine a tree in a storm. The tree is too stiff, too straight, and will break in the strong wind. But the tree that sways and bows its head will survive and grow taller after the storm. It is the same with humans. We are not designed to resist change. We are designed to adapt, but adapt in a disciplined way. That is the Stoic spirit. Stoic philosophy teaches that you can't control the world, but you can always control your reactions. And control doesn't mean forcing things to go your way. Sometimes the best control is knowing when to stop, when to change direction, and when to accept wisely. You can't control the job you lose, but you can control how you pick yourself up afterward. You can't control who leaves, but you can choose to move forward without being paralyzed by the pain. That's the wisdom of flexibility, knowing when to let go, when to hold on, when to step back to prepare for the next step. I used to think that once I set a goal, I had to pursue it no matter what. But there were times when that was no longer appropriate. The environment changed, people changed, and sometimes I changed too. But instead of seeing it as failure, I learned to see it as evolution. Because what matters is not how long you hold on, but whether you are moving towards a better you. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "A river keeps its course, but it bends around rocks and dirt. That is not surrender. That is intelligence." That quote changed my perspective on resilience. Resilience is not about fighting against everything. It's about knowing what you're fighting for, and when to change course to keep it. In an age where people are obsessed with discipline, principles, and never giving up, remember, flexibility is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of self-awareness. Those who dare to change at the right time are those with true inner strength. Those who know how to adjust their methods while still maintaining their core values are the ones who stand firmest in this turbulent life. If you feel tired, it's not because you're weak, it's because you're on the wrong track. If you find yourself trying to hold on to something that's no longer true for you, give yourself permission to stop. A break is not a quit. An adjustment is not a failure. It's how you continue on a longer journey, a more enduring one. Resilience is not about trying to be tough in every situation. It is about knowing when to stand firm, and when to be soft and let go. Like water, it can break through stone with only flexible persistence. And like the Stoics, know who you are, and be willing to adjust without losing your values. One of the greatest challenges in life is not in external adversity or hardship, but in how we deal with people. There will be times when you are misunderstood, talked about, taken advantage of, or even betrayed, not because you did anything wrong, but because that's life. And then, what truly defines you is not what other people do to you, but how you keep your mind strong in the face of all that. Stoicism doesn't teach us to please everyone. On the contrary, it teaches us that you can't control what other people say, think, or do, but you can always control your own response. And sometimes, that control is the gift you give yourself. You can choose not to retaliate when you are hurt. You can choose not to speak ill of anyone, even when people are speaking ill of you. You can choose to stay calm, even when surrounded by gossip, chaos, and judgment, not because you are weak, but because you understand that your peace does not lie in the hands of others. I used to get caught up in unnecessary arguments, just because I felt like I had to explain, defend my honor, clarify right and wrong. But then I realized, the more I tried to prove myself, the more I got stuck in other people's games. And gradually, I learned that true strength is when you don't need to say anything, but others still feel your value. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, "When others treat you badly, remember, they are acting in accordance with their nature, circumstances and thinking, and you also act according to your own best nature, circumstances and thinking." Stoics do not try to control anyone, nor do they try to please the crowd. They learn to live by their principles, maintaining respect without losing their boundaries. Don't react quickly. Don't be easily offended. Don't let other people's emotions overwhelm your inner self. If someone hurts you, you have the right to be hurt. But you also have the right to choose how to heal and move forward in your own way, without letting them control your mood or your future. If someone says something wrong about you, let time prove it. As for you, continue to live right, live well, and live with dignity. Maintaining your sanity in a changing world is an art, and the more you practice, the freer you become, because you are no longer controlled by the praise, criticism, or expectations of others. You are no longer a product of your environment. You are yourself, solid enough, bright enough, and peaceful enough. We have been through a journey together to learn about Stoic fortitude. Now it is time to look back clearly, to understand deeply. What is true inner strength? In today's world, it's easy to mistake inner strength for something flashy. It's the resilience that never gives up. It's the cool demeanor in the face of adversity. It's an image so strong that it never falters, never backs down. But if you've ever been hurt, fallen, misunderstood, and risen from the wreckage, you'll understand. Inner strength isn't a suit of armor. It's an inner self that has learned to live without armor. In Stoic philosophy, inner strength comes not from how you control others, but from how you control yourself. It's not that you don't feel hurt. It's that you don't let that hurt turn into resentment. It's not that you don't get angry. It's that you know when to keep quiet. It's not that you're not afraid. It's that you keep going even though you're still worried. It's not that you're always right. It's that you're brave enough to admit your mistakes, correct them, and get back up. True inner strength comes from being honest with yourself, having the courage to face your true feelings, but not letting your feelings control your life. It comes from persisting with discipline, even when no one is watching you, no one is applauding you. It comes from intelligent flexibility, knowing when to hold firm and when to change, not out of weakness, but because you know what is essential. Inner strength is not a cover to make others think you are strong, but be strong enough so that you don't have to prove it to anyone. You don't need applause. You don't need a cheering crowd. You just need yourself, clear-headed, alert, and at peace. I don't know what you're going through. Maybe you're struggling with failure, with loneliness, with relationships that make you doubt yourself. But if you're still trying to stay calm, still choosing kindness, still working on yourself little by little, then trust me, you're stronger than you think. You are building your inner strength, even if no one sees it, even if no one notices it. And that's the beauty of Stoic philosophy. True power is noiseless. It doesn't need a declaration. It just needs you, every day, to do the right thing, even when it's hard. Choose silence over argument. Choose discipline over surrender. Choose forgiveness over resentment. Choose to stay true to your values, no matter who changes. If there is a final definition of inner strength, according to Stoicism, it is the ability to master oneself, in all circumstances, with clarity, peace, and a heart unconquered by the world. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to choose a strong path, quietly but firmly. And if you are still on that journey, then you carry within you the most precious thing, real inner strength. If you feel like this video has touched something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Let's like video to let me know you are with me. Share it with someone who needs a support in life. And if you want to continue exploring the quiet power of Stoic philosophy, subscribe channel right now, because this is just the beginning. How did you train your inner strength? Was there anything in the video that made you think? Leave a comment below. I'm here to read, listen, and grow with you.